Hey guys, I am here at Dice of War in Rancho Cucamonga, and I'm here with Aaron Lovejoy. If you guys don't know him,
then you don't know me.
Yeah, like a good researcher or a reporter, I actually researched on him. So this is all based on internet stalking. He has multiple Golden Demon winners. 8. So he's pretty good at painting, and then he's also reside in San Diego.
Yeah.
So he drove all the way here. Well, 15 is kind of shorter, right?
It's like 2 hours.
Okay.
It's pretty far.
And he's been painting a lot of Dark Sword stuff. If you don't know what the Dark Sword miniatures, they have the Game of Thrones series, and from what I look so far from his stuff, it looks pretty good. So I'm excited. So, but anyways, Aaron, good to have you here.
Good to be here.
When did you actually start painting?
It was around 1999. I picked up a couple miniatures, and I've been painting when I was a kid, so my dad would make little military vehicles and stuff, but I didn't discover like wargaming until 1999, and that's when I started.
So your dad was a scale modeler?
Sort of. We would build like Panzer tanks, and then take our BB gun, shoot them up, and then rebuild them with all the parts. We'd glue them back together and shoot them up again. Then if we had fireworks, we put the. So anyways.
Yeah. that seems like an awesome challenge.
I haven't done that with any of my 40K stuff. It's way more expensive.
Alright. And what was your actual first model, if you remember?
My first model in wargaming was I got the 3rd edition Space Marine like starter set, 40K starter set. So it had Space Marines and Dark Eldar, and so I wanted to do Black Templars, and so I painted the Sergeant.
The cameraman is a Black Templar player.
First miniature I ever painted. I thought it was super awesome. I remember actually taking the model to my mom and being like, "Hey, check this out." I had discovered dry brushing. It was freaking tiki torch. Yeah, it's the shiznizzle. And so it was really cool. I had freehand on it. I had this thing that looked like I wish I would have brought the model. It was awful.
But it makes you look back and see where you've.
Yeah, I actually usually when I go to events like this and I totally screwed up because I have too many miniatures now in my display cases. I have 2 now that I take around with me. I usually bring that model with me, and so it shows people like awful, really good. You can do it.
Yes.
If I can do it, anybody can do it, because I wouldn't consider myself an artist.
And being a painter, how often do you actually paint on a daily basis, like Howard?
Would the better question be how often do I not paint? I do it for a living, so it's probably 5 to 10 hours a day. I can't do that every day because your brain explodes. Imagine it like writing a book for 10 hours and reading that book at the same time for 10 hours every day.
And then sometimes you have to go back to it and then reread it.
Yeah, and sometimes you burn the book and start over. So it's very taxing. I will break up between building and painting, and I consider airbrushing and painting 2 different things. So I just split it up so I don't go completely crazy, but it is my job, and I don't get paid unless I paint. So there you have it.
How long have you actually painted professional?
Probably about 3.5 years now.
Is it like a good, steady?
I wouldn't recommend it. I lost my job, and I had a bunch of friends who were playing Apocalypse at the time, and we were all just getting into Apocalypse, and that probably saved my life financially because they had a lot of tanks to paint. So I just started painting tanks, and they were like, "Hey, paint our stuff, before you get a job." And then I was painting too much stuff, and actually equaled my income that I was making before. So I was like, "Oh, why bother?" So I just kept going. It is a tough racket. You have to be very careful. Your hours to what you charge has to be right. So
there's a lot
some
of
of the first models I ever did. Perfect example is my Avatar of Cain model, which I got a gold at Games Day Baltimore. I charged $200 for that model. It was from my best friend, and so I was like, "Oh yeah, $200. That seems like a lot of money." Well, 100 hours later, I made $2 an hour. But I chose to end that in Golden Demons, so that was kind of on me. I took that. I've again done it this year. here, I charge $300 for an avatar of Cain, and I'm spending well over $100 on it. But again, it was a contest piece that I chose to do that, but I actually can't afford to do that anymore because I got kids to feed. So I've kind of learned my lesson. This will probably be the last one that I'm like, hey, I'll enter your model into a contest and spend way more time than I should have. So if you are going to do it professionally, make sure that you set up an hourly pay scale that you have, and make sure that you make money, because otherwise nobody's going to work. No one will work for McDonald's and be like, oh, I'm happy just to be working. I'll work for $2 an hour.
No one that says that.
In painting, you actually are a skilled worker. Whether you're really good or really bad, you're a skilled worker, so you should be paid accordingly. I'm not saying exorbitant rate like $30 an hour or something, but just a fair wage. Yeah. So just be sure you do that, and you also not see, there's painting companies going out of business. We just saw that with Worthy.
Yeah. That was sad news.
You have to be very careful because it happens very quickly, and the problem is you could be swamped with work and not be able to pay your car payment, not be able to pay your internet, so you can't even get in touch with people. Yep. I mean, it's really bad. So if you want to be professional, make sure you get paid. That's what I gotta say.
Yep. Well, my rule of thumb is usually when I look at my own models, if I'm a customer, how much would I want to pay fairly to get that model off of my
and sometimes, granted, okay, say you're not a real good painter and it takes you 15 hours to do a model, and it's at something that I would charge $30 or $50 for like a hero, like a gaming level hero. Yeah, you can't charge $300 for that. It kind of is what it is. So you really got to get to the point. If you want to go pro, you got to be fast and you got to be good, but then you also need to be confident enough to charge the money what it's worth. Yep. So and I mean, I'm a painter, I'm an artist, I'm poor, it's not like I'm making tons of money doing this, but I would say that I'm very successful at doing it. I have a lot of clients and I make okay money, but I do that because I'm strict at what I charge.
So speaking of commissions, any large notable job that you're doing right now?
Well, I was involved in the Zombicide Kickstarter, the first one.
Okay.
They sold 17 sets that I had to paint, plus they did all the extra add-ons. So it turned into like over 100 models per set. One of the guys backed out after the initial order, so I did 16 sets of Zombicide plus all the extras. Took me about 8 months, almost 1,800 figures. Now, to put that in perspective, money-wise, if you know that you're getting, say, $9 a figure for those models, and they're just base level gaming figures, if you go over by 15 minutes per figure times 1,700, I just worked 3 months for free.
Yeah.
And I didn't really do that math, so I know somebody out there will do the math and they'll be like, oh, you only work 2.5 months for free. But can anybody survive off 1 month for free or 1 week for free? Not really. Unless you have supplemental income where you're already rich. So you have to be very careful. That being said, I finished the order.
Yeah. Dude, I saw some of the Zombicide pieces, and at least the studio piece looks really good too.
Yeah, I have. Well, I didn't do any of the studio pieces because I was so busy with those. I think Jen Haley did a bunch of the studio ones. I didn't even look. I do have one of them here though. If you want to film it later.
Yeah, we're gonna film it later.
Oh, the other one I did was Cain from Coleman or Not. I did the 10th anniversary Cain model. I like that one because it came out really cool, and I love when it's their avatar. That's pretty good. I don't see that too often. I also have a couple sculptor Jason Weeby. I just did a thing for Reaper for them, and he's using that for his avatar too. So it's kind of cool when I see my work on somebody else's.
Yeah, I wish that it could happen to me, but I'm working my way in there.
It's a little bit of an ego thing, but sometimes you don't make a whole lot of money at it, so it's nice to have your back scratched a little bit. That's all we get is a little bit.
Yeah, because let's say winning a competition, it's not actually getting the trophy; it's the aftermath after.
Right.
Because you get to start talking to the people in the industry, you get to know a lot more people, and then people start calling you, hey, do you want to paint our stuff that's going to be on Kickstarter, right?
Now, what I would recommend if you're thinking about painting for a living or just doing it part time, like I said, if you get awards, that helps a lot, because I just simply have to say I want equal minutes, blah blah blah. Most people already know who I am, which is weird, but it definitely helps. If you don't have that, you really kind of sell yourself. Do a dance or strip or something, just whatever you can do to get the order.
Because basically that's your street cred.
Right. So, but what I would recommend is do private commissions. The company commissions, you really gotta have a high level so they can get photographs and stuff. And there's no way to paint fast enough to get money out of it. So basically, the better you paint, the less money you make because it takes you longer, so your save goes down. If you do gaming commission stuff, armies are exactly where it's at. I'll paint $15 miniatures all day long. So I know I can hit that number and I can make money.
And you can do it like really fast.
A display level commission, like say you're doing something for Cool Mini or Reaper or Dark Sword, especially Dark Sword because you're up against like Marika and Jim Healy and Jessica Rich, all phenomenal painters. So you don't want to be the one toad who had the crappy model for Dark Sword. You end up putting 3, 4, 5 extra hours in over what you expected to do. So now, even though you made this super rad thing, you're gonna it's still cool, but if your kids need to eat, they don't care.
You did mention that when you first started, you started with the 3rd edition 40K.
Right.
So you actually do play some.
Oh, dude, full on, man. If I didn't play games, I probably wouldn't even bother. I play mostly Apocalypse right now. I have 20,000 point Chaos Army, or maybe bigger. I don't know. I haven't counted in a while. I have like 80 Terminators, 5 Super Heavy, Gameblades, you know, the whole deal. 9 Land Raiders.
So you kind of break
9 Demon Princes.
You break the whole stereotype where usually when a painter is a painter. Yeah.
I've played with every single one of my Games Day wins. Every single one of my golden demon ones, bronze, silver, all of them have been played with at least once. And it's a little bit scary sometimes, but I take pride in that because I think it's cool to have stuff on the transport. In fact, we talk a lot of smack against each other, like, you know, we young customers, like, how many golden demon models do you have, you know, on your table? We got like 11 over here because my buddies want a few golden demons too, so we play with all that stuff. There's no reason not to play with your toys. I mean, they're toys.
Yeah, they're toys.
Unless you paid like $6,000 for it.
You paid already. What was the other one? 10? That worked?
Now you also talked a little bit about airbrush, and you separate that whole painting and airbrush.
Yeah.
Right back.
It's all one and the same.
Yeah.
They're all tools to be used. It's like saying I only use water in certain applications. I'm a very organic painter, so it all works together. However, airbrushing is one style thing. I don't have to be like super bad. So if my brain's like fried because I've been doing detail work for a long time, switch up to airbrushing, start doing some base coating on jobs. That's another thing, you gotta schedule your jobs out. So I got stuff that's being assembled. That's another break that I have is assembly. And I actually enjoy assembly. So I'll have assembly, and then I'll have stuff that's primed and ready to go, and then I'll have stuff that's airbrushed and ready to go, and then I'll have stuff that I'm working on. And I can always jump in and out of those different jobs.
It's always multitasking, yeah.
Because if I don't have an airbrush in my hand, I'm not building something, or I'm not painting, I'm not making any money. So if I get burned out on painting, what do? I still need to make money, and this is my job. So, you know, so far I haven't had anyone just send me money. So I'm working on it.
So obviously you agreed that airbrushing is actually just another tool.
It's just another tool. You are crazy not to do that.
Yeah, and it's not cheating because it's just another tool.
You know? Okay, because airbrushing is so easy, right?
Yeah, but it's not that easy.
Have you seen someone new using an airbrush?
Guilty.
Horrific. My stuff was super bad at first. In fact, I was so bad when I started, I quit for 5 years. It wasn't until I saw Matthew Fontaine at Gen Con and I saw what a really well airbrushed model looked like, and I saw him actually airbrush and kind of got some tips from him, that it changed everything, my whole outlook on it, and I actually started getting, I also got a different airbrush. I started getting some success in it, and then, but it's still been another, 3.5 years that I've been doing it professionally. I started with the airbrush. That's when I really started airbrushing, so about 3.5 years ago. And I probably have a couple thousand hours of airbrushing under my belt. And even today, I'm learning new things about airbrush and getting better at it.
It's a tool that you have to get used to.
It takes a good 3 months to get used to it, and it's going to be an awful 3 months. Unless you have someone who can sit there and tell you what to do, and that's what I like about classes.
He has a seminar today, so I'm attending.
About something. We're not quite sure. And we're back. I'm Johnny Cash.
We've talked about airbrushing, and now we're going to go into the competitive side of painting. When did you actually start painting competitively?
would say almost right away, because my local store, that was back when there was Outriders and stuff for GW, and they were always holding events. There was always a rope trader or something, and we had a couple really good guys in the group that were good at painting armies, and of course, you know, that was kind of my competitive edge came out, and I knew I couldn't win at the game, so, so that was my chance. Yeah. So yeah, I know, I've seen your videos.
I can't win.
I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna win, but you know, whatever. So anyways, I remember there was a conversion contest, the first one I went to, so it was probably within the first 6 or 8 months that I started, and so that was my first delve into converting something. I think I stabbed a drill bit through my finger, and you know, all the good stuff that comes with with our hobby. You know, all the injuries that you experience.
It's our battle scars.
Yeah, it's almost like playing football, but not at all.
Except I've never had like a 300-pound guy just tackle me at my paint table.
Well, sometimes that happens every once in a while, depending on how much we've had to drink and you know, whatever. So yeah, I started competing pretty early on, which didn't mean anything because I'd never seen a really well-painted miniature, and that's where Games Day came in, because that was the first close localized contest that I could actually get to.
It's an eye-opening, right?
It was here in Ontario, and I just wanted to see what a well-painted miniature looked like. I was desperate to see what a well-painted miniature looked like in real life, and so that was my first experience in that. That was the year that Liliana Troy came and won the Slayer Axe or whatever, and so it was amazing. So that was like my first delve into that. That was about 1995, maybe 95. I don't know, somewhere around there. Needless to say, it took me 5 years to get my first gold medal. So it was just perseverance.
Yeah,
I just kept going back and getting kicked in the face, getting kicked in the teeth, swallowing my pride, and every time I lost, I got better.
Yeah.
Because I had that drive. Now it drives me crazy when I talk to people and they're like, "Oh my gosh, the competition level is just so high. I don't even want to bother." Well, part of it is, I think, putting your model in the gallery of miniatures and be honest with yourself and look at it and go, okay, do I even belong here, or do I have a ways to go? And so when I finally started, probably the 3rd year I was going, I would put my stuff in, I go, I got a chance. And I still
I know exactly how that felt, you know, during Crystal Birth.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, now I know where I'm at.
Right.
And I think I might have a chance here.
Yeah. So that's kind of the thing. Just be honest with yourself and just keep going. I mean, you can't stop. And look at Colonel Sanders, total failure his whole life. Then he made Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's badass. He wasn't even a real colonel. Yeah, he wasn't even a real colonel.
So, any tips on anyone new to the competitive painting?
Tips? Well, just stay perseverant. Watch a lot of videos. I have a subscription to Miniature Mentor. I've been watching a lot of the WGC stuff, the family of things there. And even if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm better than this person, or this isn't really my style of painting, you'll always learn something. I kind of grab from everyone. My most recent video I watched was Marika Reimers from Dark Sword.
Okay.
It's their brand new video that just came out, and she paints it was like going to a different planet, so differently than what I paint. And it's almost like a really old school style of painting, and you've seen her work on Coleman You're Not. It's just fantastic. And it was like, it made me rethink things. And that's what you want. You want to watch videos and talk to as many people as you can. Try to get a paint club going or something. Like every Friday night we paint. Every Friday night, me and my buddy John are painting, and probably 4 or 5 other people. It's just, you got to get together, you got to talk, and you got to learn. And don't be above like watching videos, Laszlo, Java something or other, Java Scorsese, or Hot Lead painting videos are very good.
Oh, that's good.
It's a good way to start.
Jen Haley's good.
Jen Haley's is really good. The Dark Sword Jen Haley and Ann Forster video is very good. Just remember, a lot of those videos, like when you first start watching them, like I'm a little bit different because I know how to paint already, and so when I watch them, I'm watching the brush strokes, I'm watching what they do, listening to what their color theory is, like why they did certain things, and it's not so much like, oh, this is edited really bad or whatever. Take out of it the good and discard the bad.
Take everything with a grain of salt.
With a grain of salt,
and you pick the best out of everything.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to film these videos, so like, you don't really realize. Miniature Mentor, a lot of people complain that the guy talks too much. much and stuff. And they're like, good job, good job. And like, yeah, I know it's a good job because I'm Alan Crasco, you know. Like, but if you erase all that and you just watch the video and watch how their brush is tapping on the model. I always tell people watch your paint dry all the time. I spent years watching my paint dry, and now I know how my paint dries. So when I'm painting something, I don't have to worry about how it's going to dry because I already know.
Yeah.
I know that it's not going to leave a mark, and I know if it doesn't leave a mark, I can fix it very quickly because I know what my paint does. But that just takes time, and you gotta really just watch.
It's like a pitcher knowing where the ball is going to go because he throws thousands and thousands.
Yeah, exactly. Every once in a while it goes off and hits the batter, but that's life, you know. But being controlling your parameters is an important thing with miniature painting.
And now being just a generic painter, not competitive painter, have you been inspired or helped by any painter?
Yeah, my first big break, I would say, I've been watching there weren't a lot of videos at the time online. The YouTube sensation's kind of been like coming up, but there wasn't anything super good. So we had, it was all written down. So it's really hard when someone's French or Spanish or something to try to decipher what they're trying to say, and they don't even know what they're saying in English. So we flew Jeremy Boneman out to San Diego twice. I got a bunch of guys together. We spent a lot of money to fly him out, and he gave us lessons. And so that was really cool. We also had Alan Crasco come out, and he gave us sculpting lessons. That was a major break. You can go to Gen Con though, get lessons. Adepticon has lessons. ReaperCon is probably the best hobby convention in the world. I'll just say that, in the world. You have access to about 15 artists and 15 sculptors, and you can go and talk to them at any time because they're in this big horseshoe around the arena. And I've never seen a hobby convention like that before in my life. All the classes are like 5 people max, so it's very intimate. Yes, exactly. But that being said, there's like 76 classes, so you don't have to worry about not getting it. Not to mention, you could just sit in the paint area, which was packed the entire con this last year, and just talk to people. So that's a really good thing. Meeting Matthew Fontaine, he has excellent color. His contrasts are insane, and his color choices are really good. And so watching that really changed the way I looked at contrast on my adventures. I've been trying to emulate that a lot. But then you go on Coleman Night, type in the top 50 painters, and just start looking at stuff, you know.
And don't get discouraged by it.
And don't get discouraged because they started somewhere at 1.2.
Yeah.
If they could do it, you could do it. So.
Also, coming back to competition pieces, how long does it usually take you to get like one single HQ, for example?
Competition piece, if you want to win, I would say 40 to 50 hours for a single-size miniature. The pieces I'm doing for this year are over 100 hours.
And some people think it's crazy that you put that many hours, but the hours actually shows on the model, right?
Do you want to win?
Yeah, it comes down to
I saw your interview with Jeremy Bourne, okay? And you said, how many entries do you have? Because as Americans, we saw Jason Lee back in the day come into Games Day Baltimore, and he got like 7 Golden Demons, and that spurred on this thing where like he just spammed the whole event and hoped that you could win, in the light category or something, or maybe you could get in all the categories, and you wanted to be that guy who won 5 or 6 trophies. The most important advice I got, I think, from Jeremy was he said, stop trying to paint so many pieces and paint one miniature. That being said, I think I may have 5 entries this year, but I've been working on them for almost 3 years now. So
it's an ongoing process.
But for a 1-year process, if you want to go into a competition like Gen Con, ReaperCon, Crystal Brush, if you want to win in the top awards, or even get in the main categories, get high like a gold or something, which you should strive for, you got to put in the time, because a lot of this stuff to make your blend super creamy and stuff just takes time. There's no way around it. I can quick blend like the best of them. Most of my stuff for clients that are just display quality, not competition level, I can do in about 16 hours. 10 to 16 hours. Well, it should be 10. So I can get a really good result in 10 hours. But I don't expect to win a contest with them.
Big contest.
Yeah, unless it's my local hobby shop, which they don't let me enter anymore. So.
That's what happened. You become the judge and you don't get to compete.
Yeah, that happened to me.
Yeah. It is what it is. So yeah, I mean, now you could spend 100 hours. I've seen people complain about this too. My first couple games days, I put in a lot of hours, like 50 hours on a single 28mm figure, and barely made the first cut. And then, you know, I've seen these guys stomp out of games. Yeah. Oh, I hate Games Workshop, you know, and it, really what it was they spent 50 hours in the wrong spots. But to get to painting in the right spots, it takes time. You got to put in the time and effort. If you have like this God-given ability that you just naturally know what colors to pick, great.
Yes.
But most people like me, it takes a lot of practice and a lot of messing up. You know. So don't be discouraged if you spent 50 hours or 100 hours on a miniature and you didn't get any love. You still learned a lot from that experience. You move on and look at it honestly. Like, okay, well, what, you know, was it just the judge didn't prefer my paint job? I mean, I've been in competitions where they just simply didn't like what I did.
Yeah. It is the judge.
Well, it should have been maybe higher, but I'm not going to put that against them. It's all subjective. Mm-hmm. So again, look at your models when you put your models in the gallery of that group entry. Really be honest with yourself and go, do I belong here? Yeah. Like, what could I have done wrong? And the judges, especially in America, you got to play the event. So I would say, if you're entering ReaperCon or Gen Con, paint like a girl. If you're entering Games Day, paint like a boy with a lot of blood and be perfect. All of them.
These are good tips. I never heard of them.
You have to be perfect, especially in America, because that's kind of the traditional thing. They'll get the gallery, they'll get the top 10 models, and then they'll just start looking for mistakes. So where in Europe, sometimes they'll allow mistakes, but they'll give you bonus points for mood. Mm-hmm. In America, mood is kind of doesn't matter. Mood, like hot, cold, your contrast, that type of thing. So it gets to a point where they're like, hey, everything looks really rad, everyone's blends are really good, who made the mistake? And I had a friend get silver instead of gold because of one chain link on the back of his orc was the wrong highlight shade in the progression of highlighting shades down. That's what knocked him out. So yeah, that's it. And you got to be real precise, clean up those blends, and then play towards the contest.
So the next question was actually how cutthroat the competitive painting scene are. So I guess within your peers, it's not as cutthroat because everyone's kind of like friendly rivals.
Right. When I first started, nobody talked to anybody.
Yeah.
That was a hard thing. And it frustrated me because you hear about these, you know, the communal painting stuff in Europe and stuff, and you're like, why don't we have that? You know, like I want to talk to everybody. I didn't care. And I didn't have, I'm super competitive when it comes to painting. Like I will do everything I can to win. I will put in all the hours. I'll stay up all night long. I'll do what it takes. Yeah. I'll do what it takes to win the prize. But if I don't win, I walk away. Yeah. Like it's not, dude, I'm not like super pissed or anything. Yeah. It is what it is. So I'm super competitive and not competitive at all at the same time. So I guess that made me a little bit unique. So I could appreciate other people's work. And I think that's what's helped me over time, because I look at other people's work and I go, even though maybe the blending's not perfect, I love your color choices and I want to emulate that. Mm-hmm. You know. So I'm gonna one up it. I'm gonna make it my own. Whatever.
Again, take it with a grain of salt.
Some people are great at converting and making a scene, and horrible at painting. So you take those ideas and put them together and put your own spin to it. But when I first started, the only competitive painter that would talk to me was my buddy Bryce Coconut, and he's been my buddy for probably the last 5 or 6 years, and he was the only one who gave me advice at Games Day. And part of that was me being too, like, I'm super shy. Probably wouldn't guess that right now, but I'm super shy, and so it's hard for me to just approach someone. And plus it was like, hey, look at my crappy paint job, you know, what do you think? And I remember this one guy that ended up being my friend later, but he's this guy. But you won like 3 golden demons, like talk to me, you know. And I understand those guys I get hit all the time, and sometimes maybe I'll ignore somebody, and it's not necessarily because I'm being a jerk. It's just because it's just too much.
Imagine if you have to do it like 1,000 times.
It's too much. So yeah. So but I know where my roots were, and I always try to take time to talk to people because I appreciated what Bryce did for me, and just giving me tips advice and encouragement and stuff, and then that helped me move on. And then when I brought Jeremy out, he came out and came to the clinic, and even now he flies out from Nevada probably 6 or 8 times a year, and we do painting.
Wow.
So he comes out and visits me, and he brings a couple of his friends every once in a while. So that's really cool. I enjoy it. Well, anybody's invited. You can come down to San Diego. It's every Friday night, man. We either drink beer or English tea.
I did not know this.
We've switched to English tea, so we're, we used to be like super badass and we'd all be doing shots and everything. We got a full bar going and all that stuff. Little kids, don't be drinking, but we have a full bar. It's really cool. Like drinking beer. Sometimes you rinse out your brush in a shot glass full. But you gotta drink it, cause hey. But now we've grown up and it's turned into a tea party, really. So.
And you actually really do paint then.
And we really do paint. Well, we painted before too, but sometimes you get a little tipsy and it starts.
So is this the Painters Exchange program that you?
Oh, the Painters Exchange program is actually something I came up with because I saw what Jeremy was doing, and the second time he came out, he showed a couple miniatures that he had from like Banshee, Alfonso Giraldes or whatever. Yeah, he's Banshee. Alan Carrasco. He had about 50 models from other people, and he said, well, I don't have enough money, so I just trade. So he would paint up a model, and it was full size. He'd paint up a model, give it to them. They'd paint up a model, give it to him. You put it on a little plinth, like the Michaels little square blocks that you get. So I've invested in a bunch of those. And he would trade. And he goes, yeah, it always works out because it would take him like 2 hours to make a model, a display miniature, and it would take them like 15 hours to make. So what I did is I dumbed it down a little bit, and I take either cherubs or familiars or something small. And sometimes I do it like towards the person that's doing it, like maybe if we were to do a paint exchange, I'd get a little Martian guy or something, but small, like half the size of a regular 28mm figure. So, and the theory there is you can put a good paint job on it in like 2 to 3 hours. And then what I do is I just sort of put my style into that, and I give that to the person, and then they give me one of theirs. And so, you end up with all kind of stuff. Like I got a bulldog from Jessica Rich. My buddy Martin Jones from Reaper, he's the lead painter at Reaper. He made a butt pirate. I don't know if you've seen that little butt pirate.
Oh, is it the one? Yeah,
and this is really bad, so if you're little, like shield your ears. But he made an entire cock garden around this butt pirate. So there's penises, all different colors. There's even like a purple penis, like growing up out of the ground. And so anyways, like fun stuff like that. That one's tough because I can't show it everywhere. Like I haven't showed my kids that one. But most of them I can show. I've gotten mouse things from people. And my buddy Michael Proctor always is known for his scenes. So he made this display plinth with like a little road going up and a tree coming out the back and this little mousling. So it's easy to paint. Most of his flavor was in the sculpting of the base and everything. And I enjoy stuff like that. So when I look back at those models, I'm like, oh yeah, that was him. Or this was at Games Day, I did this trade. Or it reminds me of good times.
Stories,
And I've got stuff from other people. I would have bought it today, but I ran out of space. Like I said, I have so much stuff. But what I'd like to start doing is bring that around. And I've got models from France, Australia, Chicago, Texas, Virginia.
I want to get
all over the place. Yeah, and it's super fun. And the thing is, all us painters are poor. So and I don't exclude people that I feel aren't as good as me or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just trading with a friend. It's like swapping spit. So it's just one of those things I really like. It took a while to get started because it's like a lot of people are a little intimidated by it. But remember, it's just like a quarter size what you're normally used to painting. So it's a fun program. I like what I've given to other people, and I don't know if they in turn are doing the same thing with other people, but I've already got it lined up with 2 of my other favorite painters, Rhonda Bender and Jennifer Kaufman. They're both like Reaper, Dark Sword, Reaper, Dark Sword type painters. They're next on my hit list. Bryce wants to do one with me. Mario doesn't know, but he wants to do one with me.
I do want to do it.
But I mean, I think it's cool. I think it's rad. So it's a great way to like grow your collection too, especially if you want to start getting into teaching and stuff at events and everything. And you don't have a lot of painted miniatures yourself. Like my collection has stayed kind of stagnant the last couple of years because everything I paint is gone. Like you'll see when you look at the Dark Sword miniatures and I think they're going to be gone next week. So I got lucky that they're here. The Reaper miniature.
I got some pictures so you guys can see it.
Yeah, so it's just one of those things where, unfortunately, for me to pay bills and still be able to use my phone and talk to people on the internet, the model's cool.
You can't be much of a hoarder after you finish. Yeah, you have to let it go.
And that was the first thing I learned with painting for money was I had to let things go.
Yeah.
Before that, I couldn't let anything go.
I'm still at that stage. So, also mentioned that today you have a seminar going.
Yeah.
What would you be covering?
Everyone was learning airbrushing.
Airbrushing?
So I'll probably do a lot of tips on that. But I'll also cover how to paint over your airbrushing, which most people are scared to death of.
Yes.
I see a lot of, even on the WGC forums and the Facebook page, which I go to the most, I see a lot of people that have mostly airbrushed guys, and there's not much else done to it. Which is fine. If that's your skill level, that's great. But the way I look at it is the airbrushing is your rough draft or your general vision. So once you've got the vision of where your light and your shadows are playing off of, and maybe some other bumper colors that are in there, like if you're doing teal, you might add a little bit of red coming up from the bottom in some of the shadow areas. I'll do that. After that, it's all paintbrush. Okay. Except for maybe if I'm doing some lighting effect or something at the end, I might add. But even then, sometimes it's more hassle to take the airbrush out than it is to actually just paint it on. So, but my theory is use all your time painting on details. So if you're doing an hour paint job, like say you're doing it professionally and you're like, hey, I'm charging for 1 hour on this miniature. Wouldn't you rather spend an hour on the details or half an hour getting the base coat on in one color? I put the base coat on in 2 minutes. It's got a highlight, shadow, and base coat.
Zenithal just done.
Yeah. And my thing is I don't do zenithal lighting anymore. I do, my buddy Anthony, Anthony calls it uneven lighting, but I call it dramatic lighting. So I kind of like uneven lighting now. It's from one side to the other. So when I'm looking at you, you're brighter over here than you are over here.
Oh, so instead of splitting it from the bottom to
right now, I'll just tell you straight out, I think you're super boring if you were lit straight from the top. But right now, you got he's like dramatic, right? So what I do is that's the way I paint my miniatures now. So I will lighten the dark side of the face. Even if it's subtle, it's there. And so it's dramatic. So like if I'm painting a space marine, depending on which way he's looking or whatever way I want to focus on the face, that will be the brighter side. So his like say he's looking like this shooting, this shoulder will be super bright. This shoulder will not be, and it looks awesome.
It's that Frank Miller lighting, right?
Yeah. So that being said, I'll spray the whole miniature the same color, gun, everything, and that will be my light cues for the rest of the model. So if he's green and the gun's black, the gun right now is green, right? So then I just copy the bright areas of the green are light gray, the mid-tone areas of green are gray, and the dark areas are black. Now I've made, it's like a pre-shade, and I just follow it. It's like paint by number. Yeah. It's very quick, and I'll do that all wet on wet. So I'll just pull out my colors, and it's awesome because it shows you where the light is, and it keeps it consistent on the whole model. Because a lot of people have a lighting effect, and then the rest of the model is, they got light coming from different directions.
Yes.
So it really helps you. And then I always had a problem with that. Where's my light coming on the model, and how do I keep that consistent? Yeah. Now, even if I paint a model without airbrushing, like every once in a while, I'm like, dude, I want to go old school and just paint this model. It's ingrained in my head now where all those lights are. Yeah. So where before I kind of felt a little bit retarded or something, it's much better. Yeah.
Now, how often that these kind of seminars that you've been holding usually happen?
I don't have a lot of time even to seminar myself, so I just do this. I'm doing this for Alec. Yeah. This is my buddy, and we play Apocalypse together and stuff. I painted a lot of models for him. I painted all these models right here for him, as well as all those Titans on the ground. Yeah, I got some pictures of it. That's all it is. It is what it is. These are just standard gaming pieces. They're nothing like exorbitant or anything. It's just base level.
Look how crazy he is. He's saying these are just standard gaming pieces, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, I can't even do that. So
well, I'll show you how. So, but like here, I'm not painting over the airbrushing. I'm just highlighting the airbrushing. Whereas on a display miniature, a lot of times I will put paint over the entire airbrush base coat. It will eventually all be covered again, even by thinly layered paints. But it will all be covered because I don't want any of the trick is on display miniatures is to I don't want you to know which model I airbrushed and which model I didn't. They should all look the same. So that being said, you have to be really good at painting over your airbrushing. You have to be really confident in your blending and stuff.
Which is a big step.
It's a big step for me. It's relatively easy, but even still, I struggle every once in a while. But for a newcomer, it's very scary. I mean, I know the first couple models I did, I was like, I can't paint over this airbrushing. How do I get to blend like that? I'm like, wait a second, I can already blend like that. So I just started. You just got to do it. Jump in, dive in. The trick is use very little paint on your brush, and that helps. But yeah, it's pretty cool stuff.
So guys, even though this interview might be a little bit long, but I'm getting a lot of stuff from him, and this is not even a seminar yet.
This is right after I was talking about how videos are too long.
Yeah, and I'm getting a lot of stuff that's not even in the seminar yet. The seminar is supposed to start like any minute now, and we're kind of running out of time because of the interview.
Probably.
Yeah, but this is amazing stuff, and you said that you are going to go into the YouTube scene as well, right?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know
It
yet?
depends. I mean, a lot of people want me to do tutorials and stuff, and like even the photograph ones. You got to realize when you see someone do a photographic tutorial, like I have one on Reaper right now, blending that I did several years ago. It took so long to make that. Simply painting slows down because you're photographing every step.
Yeah, you're
constantly stopping.
You're breaking the snowball
and
effect.
you forget a step, and you have to go back and repaint that area and repaint it completely. We'll be right there. Okay. So it's very time consuming, and like I said, as painters, like especially professional painters, we don't make a whole lot of money. And I'm not complaining; it's just the facts. So I don't have a lot of time to be like, oh, I'm going to devote the next 30 hours to making this thing. I'd love to do some videos, or maybe we'll just do something in conjunction.
Yeah, we can. WGC's always open for group projects.
Little powwow or something.
Yeah.
It's like,
maybe that exchange program thing, right?
Yeah.
So
roundtable discussion.
I mean, that might be a perfect example of that because we could film you painting yours and then me painting mine and see the differences.
And it might even go into a bigger group project where you actually do it with all the other exchanges.
And then into breakdance fighting, all kinds of crazy.
Gangnam Style dance. But anyways, we are actually running out of time. I'm holding him from his seminar.
Apparently I'm supposed to talk to him.
So thank you, Aaron.
It's good meeting you.
Good meeting you. I hope to actually learn a lot more stuff in your seminar. Thank you. Bye, guys.